Some betrayals don't come with shouting. No slammed doors, no raised voices. They come with smiles, paperwork, and a security badge quietly placed on a conference table. People like to believe revenge is loud, messy, explosive, but the most devastating revenge is letting people live inside the consequences of the choices they were warned about. My name is Clara, and this is the day my company decided I was disposable. The conference room smelled faintly of lemon cleaner. Too clean, too intentional. Sunlight poured through the glass walls, bouncing off polished surfaces designed to make people feel small. Edison sat across from me, posture rigid, fingers laced like he'd practiced this moment. Finn leaned back beside him, casual, confident, a man who enjoyed moments where power shifted and everyone else felt it. Neither asked me how I was doing. They never do when the decision is already final. Edison slid a tablet across the table. On the screen was a blurry image from a parking garage camera. My car, a timestamp, a building downtown. Last Thursday, 7:14 p.m., he said calmly. Do you recognize this location? I glanced at the screen. Yes. Finn smiled, the kind that isn't meant to be friendly. We operate on trust, and what you've done looks like a violation of that trust, a betrayal. That word echoed in my chest. Betrayal. After 3 years of nights spent on cold office floors, 3 years of emergencies solved quietly before anyone above me even noticed, I felt nothing. No fear, no anger, no panic, only something light, like pressure finally lifting from my lungs. Edison slid a document toward me. We're terminating your employment, effective immediately. I looked at the paper without touching it. Security will escort you to collect personal items. I nodded once. I rejected the guilt that they wanted me to feel. I said, you're right. I should focus on one position. Confusion flickered across both their faces. They were expecting tears, begging, anger, not peace. I unclipped my access badge and placed it gently on the table. The sound was soft, final. Finn cleared his throat. Before you leave, we'll need all system credentials, passwords, access keys. I smiled. Everything is documented. Technically true, functionally dangerous. As security walked me across the open floor, conversation slowed. Some people pretended to work harder. Others stared and then looked away quickly, like misfortune was contagious. I packed what little belonged to me. A cracked mug, a notebook thick with diagrams no one ever asked to understand, a plant that survived years of neglect. Stubborn, like me. From behind the glass of his office, Arlo, VP of Technology, watched silently. He knew exactly what losing me meant. He just hoped he wouldn't be blamed for it. When the elevator doors closed behind me, something inside my chest loosened. Outside, spring air hit my face, warm and forgiving. My phone buzzed. Vega, still on for 2 p.m.? For the first time in years, I smiled like myself. Me. Yes, and now I'm free. What they didn't realize was that their systems didn't survive on automation alone. They survived on memory, on intuition, on knowledge layered so deeply inside one human being that no document could replace it. And they had just walked that knowledge out the door. My name is Clara, Until less than an hour ago, I was the only senior security architect at a company valued in the billions. Not because I wanted that responsibility, because responsibility, when ignored long enough, collapses inward. When I was hired, there were 5 of us. Budgeting reviews turned 5 into 3. Hiring freezes turned 3 into 2. Burnout turned 2 into 1. Me. Every quarter, the system grew larger. Clients tripled, attack surfaces multiplied. I warned them, this architecture requires weekly manual adjustments. Single-point dependency is dangerous. If anything happens to me, failure is not hypothetical. They nodded. They praised. They delayed. You're incredible under pressure, Arlo would say. That sentence nearly destroyed everything. Last winter, an intrusion attempt hit our core systems. I didn't sleep for 72 hours, rebuilt defense layers in real time, blocked attack paths milliseconds before exposure. No outage occurred, no press release happened. I received a $500 gift card and a mention in an internal newsletter. The CEO stood on stage weeks later and credited leadership for excellent operational foresight. That's when I understood I wasn't valued. I was invisible infrastructure. I scheduled one last meeting. Charts, models, comparisons. We need staff, I said. This is unsustainable. The CFO frowned. Couldn't documentation reduce dependency? I stared at him. I've been submitting documentation requests for 18 months. Silence. Then Arlo said it, gently, let's revisit this after Q4. That was the moment something inside me broke quietly. At a cybersecurity conference, one I attended on my own dime, I met Vega. She listened, asked questions no one at my company had asked in years. Your systems treat people as part of the architecture, she said. That's rare. She offered advisory work, legal, limited, respected. For 8 weekends, I remembered what it felt like to matter. Then someone recognized my car. They made assumptions, and instead of asking questions, they fired the woman holding everything together. Monday afternoon, authentication errors appeared. Tuesday, log queues backed up. Wednesday morning, the cascade triggered. Clients locked out. Transactions frozen. Regulators calling. My phone rang endlessly. I didn't answer. This wasn't revenge. This was inevitability. By Wednesday night, the board chair called. We made mistakes. I listened. The rate I named sucked the air from the room. The conditions created silence, public accountability, structural reform, fair treatment for the people already lost. They agreed. I guided recovery remotely. Slow, clear, educational, explaining systems they never tried to understand. By the time stability returned, the damage was irreversible. Trust broken. Leadership removed. Stock collapsed. And yet, they watched me. Because while they were scrambling, I was building something better. 6 months later, I stood on a stage, leading a team of 20. Clients lined up. Press releases printed my name. From the audience, familiar faces watched quietly. They finally understood. The revenge wasn't their collapse. It was the comparison. What they lost wasn't an employee. It was a future. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying what hurt you. Sometimes it's about walking away and building something so strong, so visible,
so undeniable that the people who dismissed you are forced to live with what they let go. If this story resonated with you, you're not alone. Subscribe to Clara's Revenge for stories about silent power, overlooked strength, and justice that doesn't need to raise its voice. Because the calmest storms leave the deepest marks.